Howdy folks, welcome to the kitchen. Yeah, you know what that means. The newest version of Extractaganza. I think it's number 15. There was some confusion after, well, not that anyone's out pointed it out, but I certainly noticed. I labelled the actual thumbnail on the video as one, and the actual description was another. 14 and 13 I think it was. But either way, I'm pretty sure this is number 15. Yeah, so, and this is going to be, you know, realistically the first of this, you know, going forward and doing more based on the extract kits that are based around, you know, certain recipes or recipe focused. More so, camera seems to be sitting on a bit of an angle there. That's weird. Could be just me, who knows. I said, yeah, so focusing more on recipes coming from the kits than just running through just the basic kits. So what I've done today is picked up an easy one that I can get locally, and this is in conjunction with Keg King and the use of the Apollo snub nose pressure fermenter. So I'm doing sort of two videos on this brew. So with that, I went with Morgans. I did pick it up locally from the local Mitre 10. So going through the recipes, what I've come up with is their Heineken recipe, which is the Morgans Blue Mountain Lager. Now, I've done this 10 before on the channel. I think I did it with, it might have been lager versus lager at warm temperature, I think was the actual experiment. So it wasn't done as Extractaganza, and that wasn't too bad a kit. I remember from doing the original tasting videos on that. So anyway, for this Heineken recipe, they're saying to add 1.5 kilos of their extra pale master malt. This fella, 250 grams of dextrose, and 12 grams of Hallertau Mittlefruh hops, which will be steeped for 10 minutes and added to the brew. Fermented with, they recommend their European lager yeast, which is, I believe, an S189. I'll be fermenting this with W3470 because that's a yeast I have readily available, and I've made a starter up, and that's out in the fridge, out in the garage ready to go when I'm ready to pitch. So first thing I need to do is get our malt into some water so we can steep our hops. So I've got about 2.5 litres of water over here. I haven't measured it out. I'm not too concerned about it being exactly accurate. It's just so we've got something to steep these hops in. Now it says steep, doesn't say boil, so we will be steeping. But just for the sake of trying to get the best out of these hops, we will be steeping in some malty water, some light water as such. Just let me lift my fingers clean here. So, to this water over here, I'll just be adding a little bit of malt, not a real lot, about yay will do us. Now this is just on the boil. I'll get this mixed in here so I don't burn it. And I'm probably using, you know, 150 to 200 grams because that's the ratio we'd normally want to use for anything to do with our hops and whatnot. Starter ratio, stuff like that. It's 10 to 1 water to malt ratio, which gives us a nice number. Okay, So that's good. That's in. Now, I'm not too worried about reboiling this or anything, so I'm happy to just turn that beat off. And given it's only a small amount of hops, I'm not worried about using a hop sock or anything like that. Just throw them straight in. I'll put the timer on for 10 minutes. Like so. Pull the lid out, stick it on there. I'm going to go and get the fermenter ready. It's currently out in the garage. It's got some sanitizer in it. It's just draining off. I'll get it in, get some water in, come back, we'll get this thing happening. Righto folks, we've progressed a little bit here. 10 minutes has gone. So our steeper's over. We've got a lovely hoppy mess on top of our water here. Now, just to help cool that down a little bit, part of the reason being, these fellas don't like water, don't like temperature over about 55 degrees. So putting your boiling water in there or very hot water in there is not a good idea. So you've got to be aware of that whenever you're using these sort of PET fermenters. You need to get more water in here. So you do need to adjust your process a little bit, and so it's not a bad idea just to mix your tins in a pot of hot water. Yeah, even if you're not boiling anything or steeping any hops, use a couple of litres of water, get your tins into there, get them all mixed up and together, fill your PET fermenter, whichever kind it is. It could be an all-rounder, it could be a Firmzilla, it could be whatever it is. We get this with a whack of water in it first so you can neutralise and balance up that temperature. I've got 6 litres in here at the moment. I've actually got another 2 litres here ready to go. We'll get that in. So we'll get 8 litres in here to start with. And it's good to go. So, over here, let's get our malts in. Now these have not been sat into the sink at all, so they're going to take a little bit more work to get them out. Well, not a hell of a lot. So that's all our malt in. We'll get our main tin in. And same story. This pot's going to be very full by the time I'm finished here. This is going to get potentially quite messy. It's an old saying, you can't make beer without spilling some water. And it is so often very, very true. I mean, realistically, I should have done this in my 6 or 10 litre stock pot, but a little bit couldn't have been bothered going out to bloody garage to get it. Just pulled a little bigger saucepan out of the cupboard, which is now very much reaching its limit. That's mostly mixed. I've still got to put 250 grams of Dex in there, but I'm going to give that a miss just for the moment. To start getting this over here. I said, this is not this is not an ideal method, but I'm really not in the mood to burn the crap out of myself with a couple of litres of hot bloody liquid. No, let's just make it a little bit easier and safer to handle. Oh, no. That's him. And we can get that mixing. So I'm also going to throw in there the yeast packet off the tin. I'm going to just use that for some nutrient. That's going to die in there pretty quickly. With those temperatures, so that'll help our real yeast. Just a bit of extra food to help it along. That's good to go. And we can get that in there now. Well, I can really see what I'm doing. And bang, there's a nice mess. That's the mess I knew we were going to make. We've done a lot worse than that before. Anyway, all good. So we'll continue topping up here. We've lost a little bit of our good stuff. Not too much though. We'll make it a nice clean up. This a bit of a slosh around. Shouldn't need too much because we're using straight water from, mostly straight water from the tap. It's getting aerated as it comes out. Rightio. Bang, 23 litres. We got what we're after. And we got bloody. Should be plenty of air in there. We'll get a bit more in there, won't it? Now, this doesn't seem to have a really large amount of headroom in it, this fermenter. And again, I think that's because it is designed to be used under pressure. So, I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on this one, probably a little bit. Right. Yeast. Nice starter W3470. I've done a 2 litre starter with 1 single dry pack. Just started. Actually started last Friday, so it's which is well and truly finished. I've taken about 25ml off to keep into the yeast bank, and the rest I am pitching. Like so. That's her. So I'll get the lid on this, get it out in the ferment fridge, set at 11 degrees, and we'll ferment for about 3 weeks. So we'll be back in about realistically a few seconds to do a taster. See you then. Righto folks, tasting day on this fella. So let's actually find where we are. Extractaganza number 15, Morgans Blue Mountain Lager, based using the Morgans recommended recipe to create a Heineken. So You saw we've added our Dextrose and some Morgans extra pale malt to the brew, bit of Hallertau Mittlefruh. Into the snub nose, we fermented at 11 degrees, our original gravity was 1047. Let's have a couple of, about 4 or 5 psi early on. Then on day 3, where we dropped 11 points of gravity, I upped it to 15 psi. And then on day 8, we raised it to 18 degrees. The pressure got up a little bit above the 15. We were settled down around there. 13 days in, we finished at 10. We're at 10-12. We cold crashed at that point. I bottled 3 days after that, so day 16 we bottled, and I added 1/3 a scoop like that, a small scoop, about 1/3 of that of Dex, because there wasn't a real lot of carb when I was bottling, so I just wanted to add a little bit more just to make sure she was carbed alright, and that's got a decent carb in it now. She's poured she's poured with no head. So ABV of 4.8%. That's allowing for about 0.2 from the sugar. So about 4.5, 4.6 straight up. Smells a little malty. And that's about it. She's fairly clear, so we're now at bottle the 5th of the 7th, so it's just over a month. So I might as well say we'll say it's 5 weeks since she was bottled. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna call that a Heineken. Now there's some sweet malt, there is a little bit of impact from that small hop steep, but not much. There's a little bit of kittiness in there. It's not a big twangy note, but it is noticeable. It's not allowing the beer to come through as being, yeah, it's super clean. It's reasonably crisp and light. For finishing it at 10-12, it is reasonably light, and I think it's certainly going to help having that 3470, I think, as the yeast as opposed to the S189. So I think the S189 would have been a little bit more rounded, not quite as snappy, which would have made it even a little further from the Heineken finish. But it's not too, I mean, it's not terrible. It's passable as a simple, easy drinking summer sort of a beer. The underlying malt is just a little bit too heavy, I said, to be a Heineken, and I was concerned about that when I looked at the recipe when it was starting with the Blue Mountains lager. I really never thought it was going to get light enough, even with the, it's the lightest malt that Morgans do, so you can't really get it any lighter. I think it realistically could have done, I think would have been a better finish with maybe only half of the tin of the malt, which again, it's a difficult thing, recipe wise to do, so use half a tin. So it's understandable that they've not done that, but I think dropping that malt by half and adding extra dextrose would have got a lighter malt presence and a lighter colour. Because for me, I mean, I don't have a Heineken here. I haven't got one to compare it to, but I'm pretty confident that Heineken's lighter in colour than that. Not massively, but it is lighter. So yeah, I think if you took half a kilo to the 750 grams, that 3/4 kilo of that malt out, and replace it, say, with another 400 to 500 grams of dextrose, you'd finish still with roughly the same ABV. You get a lighter body, which would get you certainly closer to the style. You get less malt impact. And I said, I think there's enough there from the Blue Mountains as your base to not have to add quite so much on top of it. But yeah, overall, it's not too bad. It's a kit beer. It's got those little evidences within it that it's a kit beer. They're not massive, it's not standing out. I said, I've done the Blue Mountain before. I've been reasonably happy with the results of it before. It's not the greatest lager kit getting around, but it doesn't make a bad beer, and it makes a better beer than some of the other kits that are out there. So yeah, as it is, it doesn't pass as a Heineken. If you're after a Heineken, it's not going to get you there. So I said, my suggestion, if you want to run with something, it's going to get you more in that ballpark of that Heineken, that German sort of style of light lager. And I don't mean light as in low ABV, but just lighter in the lighter style. Go for half a can of the extra pale malt. Sacrifice half the can, or keep it for something else. Increase the dextrose to about 600 grams, and I would also increase that hop steep to about 25 grams. It's really not doing anything great in there, and again, I think to get that Heineken, the German lager feel, you really need to get that hop to stand up so you can actually taste it, because you do need to come over the top of the hop that's already in the Blue Mountain, which is definitely not German noble. So yeah, 25 grams of the Hallertau. Stick with the 3470, it works. Nice cool lager ferment, around at 11 degrees, good cold crash, and yeah, I think you're going to get somewhere much more acceptable. Yeah, it's certainly going to be more in that Heineken ballpark than what this fella is. As it is, it's an acceptable lager. But yeah, just needs that little bit of work to get it down to something more like that Heineken. So that's it, guys. Got any comments or any questions about this particular beer? Stick them down the bottom. as always. Next Extractaganza is going to be a little way off at the moment. Got caught up with a few other things going on, and I have not got the next brew on. Basically, well, realistically, I did the raw ginger beer, which sat in the middle, and that took the fridge space that this next batch of Extractaganza normally would have. So normally, under normal, if I've been running normal, the next batch would have been done. But it's going on, hopefully within the next few days. I'm just waiting on, I've got a fermenter cold crashing at the moment, which I need the bottle, and I'll be able to get to it. So that may happen some stage in the next sort of 4 or 5 days. If not, it'll be you know, a week from today, but either way it is coming, and that will be an American Pale Ale based around a Black Rock Golden Ale kit. So that's what will be coming up. That will be Extractaganza number 16, but for now this is Extractaganza number 15. Morgans Blue Mountain Lager, done up as a Heineken. I'll drop the recommended or slash alternative recipe in the comments, so you can play around with that if you so wish. That's me. So till I see you again, thank you everybody for supporting the channel. But till I see you again, we're brewing beer, drinking beer, or talking beer. Good brewing.